When it comes to managing human beings, you're going to need to have a standard philosophy that you kind of stick by and a little bit of malleability. Because when it comes to human capital, you really can't afford to not have it. Unless you're a tech company, or if you're having, I mean, even if you're a tech company, you're going to have someone that is doing something for you. If you have a club at a school, if you have a church group, you're going to have someone doing something for you. And usually it's the people that are not setting their own visions, right? Those are the people that you're going to end up getting to do stuff, to delegate stuff to. And so when it comes to management, what I've realized is, and I'm still working on this quite a bit, but the things that seem to work is taking your time very seriously, to try your very best to say to people, hey, if we say this time, this is when we show up and this is where we start. And you can start to dilly-dally a little bit. You can say, hey, you showed up 5 minutes late. Okay, it's fine. But if you let that slide, if you let those little things slide again and again, then it sets the precedent that you yourself are not particularly timely, that it's okay to be like this around you. And that's the part where I think a lot of leaders fail and have a hard time, is kind of setting boundaries. At the end of the day, you're going to spend a lot of time thinking about how to make other people's lives better. Hopefully you're watching this channel because you care about that. However, to not take yourself seriously enough to say, hey, when someone shows up late, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not even going to say anything. I'm not going to have any sort of negative response towards them. That is going to set you up for a life of being taken for granted. And the issue with being taken for granted is that it sinks into everything that we do. It genuinely does. A wise man said this to me at this point a few years ago, and it made a big difference in the way that I thought about even my communications with my friends, my family, whatever it is. You have to have a visceral no available to you. Something that people will actually believe and that they want to stay away from. So if someone's bullying you, or if someone is just getting into your space, that there is an equal and opposite negative response. And I say this because in management, if you don't have order, you're going to struggle. In The Art of War, one of the generals talked about a really interesting concept. He said, there was a story of this general, essentially, that was really, really good at leading armies. And the emperor invited this general over to his castle, and he said, hey, if you're so good at leading armies, go ahead and show me. But you got to do it with women. And he was like, okay, fine. Put together 3 squadrons of women, and we're gonna have your favorite mistresses, or your favorite mistress sons. Maybe they were mistresses, I don't know. His favorite woman, basically leading each of these squadrons. And so the commander gave directions. He said, hey, look left means this, look right means this, this means turn around, this means spin back around, this means salute, whatever. And he made sure that they said, yes, okay, we understand. And he gave the first order. And so the woman started laughing. The entire platoon started laughing the first time he said it. And, he got serious and he was like, okay, maybe I just didn't explain it right. And so he explained it again and he made it clear. And he said the same stuff and he asked if there's any questions, whatever. Nothing. And then he said the order again and they started laughing. And he said, okay, the first time I gave you directions and you chose not to follow them. The second time I gave you directions and I tried to make them even more clear and you still chose not to follow them. Now there's consequence. And so he took the emperor's one of his favorite concubines, and he actually executed her straight up in this. And the emperor's like, mortified. He was like, dude, I love this person, like, don't do this. He's like, no, you told me that you want me to show you how to put your army together. And he slaughtered this girl in front of all these women. And the next time he gave the order, everyone listened. Now, that's a lesson from one of the oldest books on leading people, on managing people there ever has been, on military tactics in general. And for those of you that are watching this and are thinking to yourselves, oh my God, could you imagine killing someone for not listening to instructions? Well, could you imagine being on the battlefield and someone not listening to instructions actually ends up killing thousands of people? Probably not, right? But that's not the type of stuff that the most average leaders think about. Most average leaders are thinking about, hey, how do I get people to like me? How do I get praise for the thing that I'm doing? How do I maybe solve this problem with doing as little work as possible? That's what an average leader will think. The exceptional leaders will realize that you fundamentally have to change as a human being in order for powerful people to want to work for you. And that means setting guidelines. That means setting boundaries and saying, hey, and explaining things and having the humility to say to yourself, maybe I explained it incorrectly. Maybe the system that I created isn't the right thing. Very, very important to realize that this is a continually learned experience of being a leader. Management techniques, super key management techniques. Here's a couple of them. You got to set times. You got to set a time frame for something to be completed. And most of the time, the better thing to do is set a time frame that crunches the thing being completed. Meaning that if you think it's going to take a month to get something done, take 2 weeks. Set the timelines faster. The reason is you'll force yourself to go faster, A, and B, by virtue of not hitting that result in the worst case scenario, you will have learned how long something really takes. But also, you will have learned what it means to fail, which means that you have picked up a new point of data. Set the deadlines and set them faster than you think you can accomplish them, because you can always move it later, right? But have the expectation that it should be done at that new deadline. That's the reason why a lot of people value what great leaders do, because they're able to accomplish things faster than not so great leaders, right? They're able to get things done that otherwise people would be like, dude, I'm gonna kick this down the field and see if I can pick it up later. In fact, poor leaders in general will say, you can move the goalpost. Move it back. You're okay. If you miss it, just keep moving it back. No. When you set a deadline, it's serious. You gotta make sure to get that shit done. But you gotta set the deadline first, otherwise you're not being fair to yourself. You're not being true to yourself. You're not even giving yourself an opportunity to meet an expectation. So set deadlines. Follow up, be professionally annoying about those deadlines, right? Hey, this thing's coming up. Hey, this thing's coming up. Hey, this thing's coming up. Hey, this thing's here. Where are you? What's going on? I talked to you about this thing and it didn't happen. They're gonna look at you and think like, yeah, I mean, I didn't take it seriously. Great. Poor leaders will end up allowing that to exist in their system. They'll say to themselves, oh, it's fine. It happened this time, it happened last time, it's always gonna happen, I'll just keep this person around. Because poor leaders are of a philosophy of managing what they have rather than increasing, rather than morphing, transmuting what they have. Meaning the pool of talent that's available, they think that that is the only talent that they can get. Whereas powerful leaders realize that there is better talent waiting out there. That by virtue of getting rid of the bullshit, we can actually get greater things in. But we got to have those guidelines, right? What does it mean to succeed at a position? What are the KPIs, the key performance indicators that show that you are actually doing your job, that you actually are consistent with a position? What are the metrics? What are the little points that can be measured that will indicate that you are getting closer to accomplishing goals, or that you are maintaining what is required for your position? Those are things to write out really right in the beginning of a position. Can be hard to do for certain ones. Still, sometimes I struggle with this, and that's why chief operating officers are such a powerful thing to have in your artillery or in your army, because they are the types of people that can really nail down what those specific things are for each position. Now, for the vast majority of people watching this, I assume that you have generalists working for you. If you have a student organization or if you have a church group or something, right, there's not going to be usually someone in there that can get something done better than you can for a very specific task. Stated another way, a generalist is someone that's okay at everything or okay at a lot of things, but doesn't necessarily accomplish things quickly or accomplish one thing quickly. The job of a great leader is to create a specialist out of a generalist. Basically to understand what it is that they're actually passionate about doing and making sure to give them the opportunity to allow that thing to happen again and again and again. Because without it, they're going to lose interest. Generalist almost every single time is going to have issues with staying consistent because they never chose. And I didn't understand this a while back. In fact, maybe about a year and a half ago, I still didn't understand this concept. I was still a generalist, and to some degree, I am still a generalist now. I'm in fact working on it quite a bit daily, kind of building towards things, but CEOs in general have to be generalists, right? We have to figure out what it is that actually moves us forward, the thing that we're so good at doing that no one else can do better than us. And that requires experimentation, but it requires honesty too, right? Am I the best at building out standard operating procedures? Maybe. I just got to do it a lot and figure that out, right? Is that something that actually excites me in my life? If it's not, it's probably something I'm not going to be particularly good at, right? I love talking to people. I love actually getting people to think about their positions. I love inspiring people. I love teaching people, right? That is a very specialized role if you think about it. It depends what you're teaching, obviously, but someone that's able to train is pretty useful. And is one of those skills that I want to build up all the time. On top of that, management tip number 3. You got to choose your management strategy. And from Brandon Dawson, 10x 360 and Cardone Ventures, Brandon Dawson said the mistake that he made when he made his first company was he would always have his foot down people's throat. And so this is the equal and opposite approach to dealing with human beings. And the thing that I think about always is this person able to make a mistake and learn from it? If they are, then I will permit them to make the mistake. However, if that mistake happens twice, or if it happens twice, I basically catch it, and if it happens the third time, I just have to let them go. That's just how I roll. The philosophy is if something happens twice, it's bound to happen again. If it happens again and it's something you don't want to happen, you're an idiot for keeping it around. Unless you just enjoy bashing your head against the wall and having a difficult time already a fairly difficult time of being a leader, of like actually trying to make things happen. You got to be able to give that one chance, like the general. You got to be able to give that chance and be like, okay, I understand you didn't get it this time. If it happens again, we're gonna have a conversation. The fourth thing that I would recommend is the ability to communicate not only the vision of where you're trying to go, because great people need inspiration just as much as average people do. You need to be able to inspire people. You need to be like one-on-one or in a group of people. It's a very useful trait to have. But also, you must be able to have difficult conversations. And that is a stress management task, right? If you cannot look someone in the eye and have a difficult conversation without emotion, you're going to struggle when it comes to setting those guidelines, setting those principles, actually coaching people through some of the things that are learnable skills. You must improve communication. How do we do this? Jordan Peterson, great communicator in my opinion. Maybe a little verbose, still gets his point across and is an interesting person to watch. He says read and write. Guys, we've lost that. We've lost the ability to read and write as a society. Really, it's quite sad. And with AI, the ability to read and write and actually put your own thoughts into a space is going to be so powerful in the future that I assume it's actually going to be something that's reserved for the greatest leaders. The greatest leaders will read and write their own stuff. Now, I'm not saying like all the mundane stuff, but I'm talking about like the vision, the copy, all of that stuff. Like there's going to be space and time. There's going to be a space and time where our ability to formulate a thought and to put it into objective world, into objective reality, is going to be the difference between us, hopefully great leaders, and people that, again, don't have those positions, right? People that are kind of doing rote tasks. In fact, in the future, a lot of this stuff is going to be eliminated. The rote tasks in general are going to be eliminated. If you have anything that you're doing all the time that's a rote task, it could be anything from doing a filling, if you're a dentist, or plugging in numbers, or scheduling appointments, whatever it is. If it's a rote task, it's going to be replaceable by technology in the future. Communication, however, between two human beings is not going to be very easily replaceable. That's going to be something that is still going to be valuable. Leadership is going to be very, very valuable, as it is now. So other things that I can think of management-wise that might be useful, you got to know what positions or what type of specialization that you need in order to get to the next level. And that's vision boarding. That's planning out all the stuff that you got to take care of. Without having that vision and without having that awareness of the exact skill set that you need to move forward, everyone's going to be interesting to you. Now, mark my words, you're going to make mistakes. If you're spending money on people and you think that people cost money, people do cost money, but people are investments, really. So people actually make money too, if you get the right people in place. The hard part is realizing that the people that make money often take more money to keep the investment going, right? If they value their position in a workplace, they are necessarily going to want to work harder and maintain that position, right? But by virtue of that, you're probably gonna have to pay them more, and you're probably going to have to test them to some degree more, right? The people that you pay more, you're gonna have to test more, because your return on investment really needs to be one of the highest importances of the business, one of the highest importances of how your money's working. right? If it's something that you're doing for charity, if it's something you're doing for free, I still am not of the opinion that just because something is being done for free that you should waste your time with useless people. I really do believe that you can find great people for any cause if you are a good enough leader that you're able to inspire the people and have a vision that's cohesive and set guidelines and set timelines and set the vision and priority to align with really like a real world problem. It's like being a comedian, right? You're only funny if your stuff applies to reality. And the real comedy really comes out of that too. That's about all I got for management techniques. I'm sure there's other stuff that I'm missing. And the last concept I'll talk about is we leadership versus me leadership, right? If you're gonna force people to stay accountable to showing up on time, you better show up on time. If you're gonna hold people accountable to getting something done in a time period, you better get it done in a time period. If you're gonna hold someone accountable to being a good communicator, you better improve your communication skills consistently, right? You better read something, you better write something, you better care about this tangible thing. There has to be reps that are put in. So I think the next video I'll make is probably about what I do to train these things and probably some circumstances that have occurred that are relevant to these concepts. So actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. If you are a leader and you're attempting to create something around you, please reach out. Let me know if you have any questions. If you have advice for me, let me know. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Peace.